Hello, and welcome to the Debrief. We are sat inside the Anfield press room after watching Liverpool under 18s, 19s, 20s beat Shrewsbury Town 1-0 in the FA Cup fourth round replay, and what a sensational night it was. I am joined here by Ian Doyle to discuss the game. Firstly, what did you make of this incredible night for Liverpool Football Club?
Well, it's not like anything that Anfield has seen before, I think it's fair to say. From the makeup of the crowd, I think there'll be a lot of people who'd never been to a game before, and they'll be desperate to come back after having seen that. To the makeup, obviously, of the team. So he was in the dugout, because obviously no Jurgen Klopp here. He is on his winter break. He was insistent he was going to have it, and his senior players were told, "You're not coming either," or at least not playing, because we know that James Milner was sat behind the dugout and roaring on the players.
Looking very animated indeed.
He was quite keen for them to win, and they did. And it was. It's a great atmosphere, and the victory was no less than Liverpool's, basically the kids deserved, because I thought they were outstanding. We've seen in games at times, certainly the Aston Villa game, which I know you were at in the Carabao Cup in December. I was watching from Qatar, and for the first 15 minutes, Liverpool were the better team. But then once Aston Villa scored, it kind of like fell away, and it played at the confidence. But Liverpool got over that 15-minute mark. They got over the half an hour mark. They got over the first half mark, and suddenly you could see they were building with confidence. The defence looked more considered. Sepp van den Berg certainly played his best game he's played for Liverpool since arriving. You've got to remember he's still only 17, 18. And just all the way through the team, there was performers. And the people you were expecting to be leaders, the likes of Chirivella, the likes of Jones, the likes of Nico Williams, which I'm sure you're going to mention a bit more in a minute, they gave the performances that suggested that they are the people who've had a bit more experience and knew how to handle such a big occasion. And the others just fed off there.
Yeah, certainly. I think we can go through a few of the stand-up players, and you mentioned Sepp van den Berg there, so we might as well start with him. As you said, this was van den Berg's best performance in a Liverpool shirt since he's arrived at Liverpool. And is this the player Liverpool thought they were going to get? I thought, he was commanding at the back, he was calm, he kind of led the line. I haven't really seen that from him before, so I was super impressed. Yeah,
when you consider he was alongside Ki-Jana, who a lot was spoken about this time last year, because I think he'd played against Wolves, was it, in the third round? So people were talking about him. But we saw Van den Berg play against Arsenal. He found it very, very difficult. Liverpool conceded 5 goals that game, with the 5 goals at Aston Villa. So for him personally to get a clean sheet would have been a massive deal, because he has, even seen him at the under-23 levels, he's not been the most consistent at times. There have been times where he struggled, funnily enough, with the high balls, the long balls. But tonight, up against, experienced Shrewsbury attackers.
And a pretty lively attack at that, especially considering how they were a week and a half ago.
Exactly. He won practically every header. And as you say, he led the line. He was definitely the one who was organising them. You could see that certainly when they were trying to play the offside in the first half, you could see he was the one who was saying, come on, let's get up. So he'll be one player who'll benefit massively from that. But the whole of the defence, you had Adam Lewis, who finally making his debut. It's obviously he could have played a bit earlier this season, but he was out for about 3 months with a knee injury, and he's only made, I think it's 2 substitute appearances since his return the other week. So for him to come through the full 90 minutes was some effort, especially when the first half there was moments where he thought he was a little bit rusty. But yeah, he did, and we thought, well, you thought he was staying on, I thought he was going to go off, but obviously he stayed on. And he's somebody, again, like so many of them, will just benefit from this experience. And you mentioned, we may as well move on to the midfield, and Leighton Clarkson was making his first start, and Jake Kane was making his first appearance of any kind. And I mean, Leighton Clarkson, you can see why Jurgen Klopp and the coaching staff, the minute he went up to Melwood earlier this season and started playing regularly there, they were like, wow. Who's putting through these balls? Was the one pass that he put through for Harvey Elliott, which ended up in a chance for Nico Williams, which was saved by the goalkeeper. But there's not a single player out there who played for Liverpool tonight who won't be going home tonight thinking, I've done myself proud and I've improved the prospects of my own career.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned Jake Kane and Clarkson there. They are, at the moment, Liverpool under-18s players. They are very young, and they looked, pretty small in stature as well, because they are only small young players. But actually, the understanding that those two have as a pair and the way they play together as well, I thought really helped Liverpool tonight. I thought they were excellent in the midfield, considering that they are just so young.
There was a lot of tight space. Certainly, we know about Leighton Clarkson, as I say, but Jake Kane surprised me, because he started off really well. Then he kind of disappeared for about 25 minutes, almost half an hour. But then in the last half an hour, he started finding little spaces in midfield, and the fact that he's got this great close control and he can spot a pass, it made it so easier for everybody else. And they just all seemed to just, you could tell they were just revelling in the moment. Yeah. And they didn't look physically overawed by Shrewsbury, which was the one thing we thought. And just dwelling for a minute on Shrewsbury, I was amazed when they got their corners that they didn't put more into the box. They played them short. Yeah. It's like that's not what they needed to do. But it helped Liverpool, and when they did then play them in the box, Liverpool still managed to clear them. So, from that respect, there are no negatives tonight for Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've obviously mentioned Chirivella a little bit there, and I thought he was really commanding. He played really well, actually. And I think the last couple of games he's played for Liverpool, he's said himself that he wants to go and he doesn't see his future at Liverpool, and that's understandable. But he has done himself a world of favours about getting a move when it comes to this summer, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, also he sees himself as one of the more experienced players playing in that side, and he's kind of assumed this role of a leader. And he was the captain, wasn't he, at Villa? And while he wasn't the captain tonight, because that went to Curtis Jones, who became, as we know, the youngest captain in Liverpool's history, Chirivella was he was the on-field leader in that respect, because he saw a lot more of the ball. He was the one who was helping protect the defence, and he had Clarkson and Kane alongside him. He has played with quite a lot, and he's been, he's brought up with them, playing alongside them, but he was kind of cajoling them through it, and he was making sure that things were getting done right. Yeah,
absolutely. And talking of experienced players, we have to mention Curtis Jones. The confidence of him putting Rabona crosses in and, flicking the ball through defenders' legs. And for a 19-year-old who's just turned 19, he looks like some player.
Well, he's quite good, and he knows he's quite good as well. So that's the thing. It's kind of become a running joke. Not sure whether that'll be something that might be an issue later down the line. I don't think so, because all the best players have to have that kind of. Is it arrogance? It's a winning mentality, yeah. And he demonstrated that again. It's interesting because ever since he first came into the team, when he was planning the US tour, was about 18 months ago, couldn't have even been longer ago than that. He doesn't look 17, he doesn't look 18, he doesn't look just turned 19. He's a big physical specimen, and because he has all that confidence, he can do basically whatever he wants. It was interesting that Shrewsbury knew quite well from very early on that he was the danger man, because they were quite keen to leave a few on him as well. Whether or not the strong hand that he got in the face that hurt his nose, whether or not that was done, I don't think it was done on purpose, but it was a sign that the fact that people were getting that close to him, they needed to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another player that looked like he terrified the Shrewsbury defence at almost every opportunity was Harvey Elliott. Clever, intricate play, skillful, flicking the balls over the top, really direct. What did you make of his performance? Because compare what he did tonight to a week and a half ago, and it was just, you'd never would have known the same player.
True, but then he's only 16, isn't he? It's like can you really have a point to prove when you're 16 years old? I'm not sure, but that's kind of already the level that he's at. It's like he's trying to prove people wrong because he had one game where he didn't take everybody on. So no, he was very good tonight. And what's more, he had more of an end product in terms of getting crosses in and playing the right passes. And of course, it was him that was in the box for that Williams cross. That's the reason why the defender stretched for it. Exactly, yeah. Though should really have set up a goal for Joe Hardy. Poor Joe Hardy. He'll probably never have a better chance to score for Liverpool. But Elliott, he was definitely more. He basically showed why everybody's so excited about him.
Yeah, certainly. And for me, this is incredible to say, considering how many players we've just discussed, I think probably the best player in that Liverpool side, or not on the pitch for the second half, was Neco Williams. I thought, everything that was asked of him defensively, he did really well. He cleared balls, he was strong, held up the play well, but he burst forward at every opportunity. He was the one that played the free ball that created the goal, but I thought he got forward. I thought he held the ball up at the top of the pitch. I thought he pressed. I thought he was excellent, to be perfectly honest.
He's like a mini Trent, isn't he? Almost, yeah. He is a little bit. I think he's different to Trent. I think he is definitely more of a right back / right wing, and we know we've spoken many times about where Trent might end up in midfield, which he probably will, but no time soon. But if he doesn't want to make a switch every now and again, Liverpool have got a player here who is more like Andy Robertson, I'd say, than Trent. He's
a serious player to come and fill that gap.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, he's got the engine, he gets stuck in, he certainly knows how to cross a ball, knows how to pass, he reads danger. He's got the energy still going there at the end of 90 minutes. I mean, there isn't really... Okay, he's not the tallest, but then fullbacks tend not to be. If you're going to have one position where you can afford that, as in defence, it's out wide.
Okay, we've obviously spoken about loads of players there, and that's incredible and such a big night for all of them. But I suppose just to end this, what will this mean to those Liverpool players? This is the youngest team ever to play a competitive game in Liverpool's history. They've won. They've set up a tie against Chelsea. They've kept Liverpool's hopes of a treble alive. It's just an amazing night for the whole club, isn't it?
It is, and it's also an amazing night for Neil Critchley. I don't think we can forget that. You know, we go down to see him quite often playing for the under-23s, and he's got a lot of belief in these youngsters. He wants them all to be a success. So it was, you know, it was nice to see him on the pitch at the end. At the end, he was like, he basically said afterwards, didn't he? Said, "Look, I might never get the chance ever to do this again. Let's be honest." So he was up on there giving it loads in front of the Kop. Yeah, so he wouldn't. So absolutely. No, I was delighted for him as well.
Yeah, perfect. Well, what an incredible night for Liverpool at Anfield. It's a bit of a break now until the Premier League returns, but we're all excited to see how Liverpool get on this season. Thank you very much for watching.